civil service, the aim with which I wanted to do, that can be achieved in various other ways also, and becoming a civil servant is not the only way out of it. I actually started during the month of, say, September end. So what I did was I practiced as many mocks as possible. I took mocks and I was seeing that where I was going wrong. The biggest shock, or I would say surprise, was when I got a call from IIM Ahmedabad. So that was the moment I was like,
The formula to get 99 percentile score is here. Enroll now. The link is in the description and in comments. See you there.
hello, as you all know, my name is Sayantani Das. I come from the northern parts of West Bengal, from a small town called Balurghat. But I have grown up in a boarding school in Mussoorie. Thereafter, I moved to Kolkata to pursue my graduation. After my graduation, I wanted to be a civil servant. So I started preparing for the UPSC Civil Service examination, which brought me to Delhi for my post-graduation. But however, due to certain reasons, I was not able to qualify the exam. And then I thought that why not take a different path? And that has brought me to IIM Indore. Okay, so it was in the final years of my graduation when all of my close friends were deciding to pursue MBA. I thought that I was not yet confident enough to do an MBA. And it was mainly because of the cost factor, as we all know, that we had to take a huge loan. So I thought, why not try out a different path? And since none of my family members belong to this government service, so I thought, let's try to achieve this. From there it began, my journey started. And then when I could not qualify for the first year after preparation, I decided that I would not take a drop. Rather, I tried to find out which subjects are more in demand for this examination and why not pursue a post-graduation in that. This brought me to my post-graduation degree in law. I thought that it would help me immensely in the preparation and also thereafter. So I started preparing for my LLB degree. Along with that, I was giving the exam. So it was a journey of 4 years. I took like 3 attempts and I was able to qualify prelims in the third attempt. However, I could not qualify for mains, and that actually left a deep impact on me. I started introspecting, like what is going wrong, why am I not able to do it? And also the fact that whether this is the right path or not, given the uncertainty in the examination. From that moment, I thought that let's move on to a different path, because civil service, the aim with which I wanted to do, that can be achieved in various other ways also, and becoming a civil servant is not the only way out of it. So that has been my journey so far. So I knew that my weak points will be quant and DILR, because I had been out of touch with the subjects for a long time. So I started focusing more on that. I actually started during the month of, say, September end. So what I did was I practiced as many mocks as possible. I took mocks and I was seeing that where I was going wrong. Another thing I did, that I was not trying to learn anything new. I knew that there are certain sections where I am weak, so I was not focusing on those parts, because I knew that I would be able to sail through if I focused on my strength. So I focused only on those subjects where I was strong enough, and I worked harder on that. For DILR, as they say, that solve as many sets as possible, different type of sets, so that you are familiar with the type of problems that come, and so that you are able to handle it also under stress. So this was one approach I did, that I practiced as many sets as possible, and I ensured that I revise all the sets. For BARC, I was constantly reading the newspaper, Aeon essays which they suggest, and I generally love reading as such. So that helped. Along with that, having a knowledge about psychology, sociology, bit of history, because the passages that come, they mainly come from those topics. So having a bit of a knowledge about that also does really help. So for that, you can develop those knowledge by reading as much as possible, reading as much diverse sources as possible. So this was my timeline: practice mocks, revise from those mocks, and then see where you are going wrong and work on your mistakes. I did not try to attempt new stuff, because I knew that I have limited time. So just focus on the strength right now, and the CAT is designed in such a way that if you work on your strengths, you will be able to sail through the the cutoffs. So that is what I worked on. So if I go through my sectional, it is, if I can remember, quant, I just got through the cutoff, that was around 85 percentile. In DILR, I got around 94, 95 percentile, and in VARC, I got around 97, 98 percentile. So my slot was the third slot that day, and it was during the noon. So when I reached, we were already getting the news that there had been some some changes in the VARC section, because there were some new questions that were added this year. And I had friends who had taken it in the first slot, so they told me that. So this was sort of a thing that that scared me a bit in the start, because I always went with the view that VARC is my strength, so I have to maximize my marks there. So this was what impacted when I started the exam, because I was thinking that where are those new questions. So it had impacted my speed, and this actually negatively, I would say, impacted my start of the examination. However, after that, after 5 to 10 minutes, I was able to cool myself, and I was like, hey, it's all right. This you are just taking to see whether you can get through it or not. So just do it, just give your best. So from after losing about 10 minutes, I was like, okay, whatever be it, I'll just attempt it with a calm and cool mind. And then I continued. So after that, it went on smoothly, I would say. After the examination, to be very honest, I was not expecting a call. At least from the top B schools, I was not expecting. So I was like that either I would repeat it again. This time I was like, I would give a dedicated approach. I would take whatever syllabus is this, and I would go through all the parts and work upon it. But then I think it was just after a few days of it, the raw scores was announced, and I think in the month of January or something, the percentile came. I had got call from IIM Ahmedabad, then I had got call from IIM Indore, IIM Kozhikode for their LSM, then apart from that, all the cap calls, IIM Shillong, and then IIFT. The biggest shock, or I would say surprise, was when I got a call from IIM Ahmedabad. So that was the moment I was like, now I have to prepare for the interview. So that was when I had a talk with the InsideIIM team, and I got in touch with few mentors. And actually they had helped me immensely. One of the mentors was really kind and empathetic enough to understand my situation, because I knew that I would be coming off as a different I have a different story, and I would be coming off as a very different candidate. So he really helped me in putting out the best of my story in front, how to present my story, and how to convince the panel that why I want to pursue an MBA at this stage, and why I would be a good fit for the MBA curriculum. And if I can recall my interviews, my first interview was IIM Indore itself. It was an offline interview. And it was actually a very good experience, because the topics, it ranged from, at one end, the professor is asking me about differentiation, integration, and how would you explain it to a layman. And the other point, I am getting questions from polity, say for example, constitutional law, and what are the law of torts. So it was a very a mixed batch of questions, one ranging from mathematics to one is from social science. So it was coming to and fro, and I actually had a very good time juggling between this completely different set of subjects and also answering the questions. But I would say the best interview experience that I had was in IIM Ahmedabad interview, where they actually asked me about what are your strengths, which subjects are you confident in, and on those subjects they particularly asked me those questions. Apart from this, the topics which it actually ranged from which all books have you read, and it delved deep into the novels. At that point of time I had actually read 1984 by George Orwell, and the discussion revolved around totalitarianism, what do you think the world is heading to, and along with that there was an element of mathematics also coming in bits and parts in the middle. So that was a very nice experience. The worst experience I had was in IIM Shillong interview. After going through my graduation mark sheet, the subjects where I had scored the least, this professors was like, okay, this is the subject, why did you score less? And then they started asking me questions from that subject. That actually made me nervous during the interview, and I was not able to answer properly. So I wanted to join the civil service because I wanted to work at the grassroots level in terms of empowering women, working on hygiene and sanitation, education. But if you see in today's world, many private sector firms are also actively involved, and especially they are working in tandem with the government in devising strategies. If, for example, in UP, there is a consulting firm which is working with the government in devising the Nipun strategy for increasing the literacy and the numeracy of the kids. So today it is not private versus the public sector. They are joining hands, collaborating and working together. So this is one of the reasons that even the work, the type of work, the leadership roles, the formulation and the strategy part which I wanted to do as a public servant, I would still be able to do. I would still be able to aid the government in implementing those plans in the private sphere. So ultimately the end goal of impacting lives is still the same, and I would obviously do that. But just the paths are different, and my roles will change according to that. But the end goal is still the same of impacting life in this field.